this team that was supposedly going to be the King Slayers. Well, it's about that conversion rate, and it's about the defense, which isn't quite enjoying the clutch saves and the clutch moments that we saw from KRN. I would argue Nada a much more offensively minded player than Mosen. Yes, okay, they were conceding unnecessary goals from time to time, but for me, it was a difference maker that allows Rule 1 to go on the offense. I'd like to see more punchiness from them, Jam, and straight off the rip, 6 seconds in, it's Roas with a beauty.
Oh my goodness, Roas doesn't spend any less time just getting into the game. Rule 1 has always struggled to... They looked so great, and today perhaps that's not the case, but they usually looked so great throughout the bracket versus the other teams, and then all of a sudden, as if somebody flipped a switch on them, a switch that just turns them off in a series versus Falcons, those grand finals. They never looked as good as anywhere else during that weekend. So over here to even start this with a goal, it's already bodes well for the Rule 1 side.
Neither of these teams has scored anything less than 3 goals in a series between them. 6-3, 12-9, 3-9, 6-11. That's Rule 1 versus Falcons, left or right. And the goals are going to keep on coming. Unfortunately for Rule 1, that's the first on the board for the Falcons.
That's so surprising how much time and space Khalid has. Yes, he skipped the ball of Mazen's roof. But this harkens back to the series of Falcons versus Cola, where Falcons were waltzing into the defense of Cola. Cola could not counteract with anything. And right now, Rule 1 were not prepared, maybe still celebrating after that first goal. We see more setups for was, but Ahmed so quick on the ball. And Rule 1, yes, they have to go from a distance. Still cannot convert on that attack.
Further to the point that I was making earlier on, we need to see more offense. We need to see a little bit more of risk-taking from Rule 1. Mosen, certainly the name on the tip of my lips, didn't score a single goal in the last series between these two. A flat 0.00 to his name, and already there getting dunked on by Khalid to concede the first against the Falcons. Here's TRK. Utilizing that boost beautifully. Look for the dunk on Mosen. Away it goes. A bit of a double commit here from Roas and Khalid, although Khalid doesn't exactly get the pinch that he was hoping for. TRK and Mosen meet in the middle, and here to pick up the play, it's Khalid around the corner. Gets his way past Ahmed. Manages to get a shot away as well. Really well worked. How about this for the follow? Oh, a pinch! What great reactions from TRK!
Out it goes, and immediately they transition into the offense, and that's TRK with the ball as well. More passes. Nobody's going to be at the end of that one, but a little bit of a bump. All control of the ball is still with Rule 1. Strong idea, sending it towards the net of Falcons. But right there, it dies with no real avenues for a pass. And look at that, another open net. Last second save from Killers. There's a demo on Ruaz, though. That's -1 player from Rule 1, but out to the midfield it goes. Reset, and the Falcons net.
Already the housery in play from the Falcons. Demos and bumps looking to disrupt that Rule 1 defense. TRK keeps this relevant, but Rule 1 sweep up the loose ball. Khalid's forward, Khalid with a challenge. TRK heads centrally into the pitch. Ahmad waiting. Roas stops it. Here is Ahmad. Great shadow play here. Ahmad towards net. 41 boost. Got the flip reset. Well defended at the near post by Mosen. Roas loses out to TRK. That's going to go right back over to the western side of the pitch. Here's Khalid. Who's out here to Mosen. Strides forward. Ahmad with a decent enough block. Khalid met well by Roas. Ahmad to the backboard and decently played. TRK with the clearance.
More and more attempts from Rule 1, just break all of the unmovable object that are Falcons. And time, well, that's still 2 minutes, and there's plenty for Rule 1 to create their chances. But look at how all of a sudden a rollout from Falcons, 3 players, and I feel like they always have a handle on the game. Ooh. Almost case in point as Khalid missed. I think might have run out of boost. They put it quite high. Nobody can follow up with this one. But Falcons just seem to get into the offensive positions out of nowhere and have a man advantage, a possession advantage. This rule, I don't want to say it, but almost too simple for them.
Neither team is out the kitchen sizzling at the moment. We're settling for a low boil, a bit of a simmer. Ahmed to the backboard. How about this? Oh, nice reaction from Roas. Big save. That was a potential triple tap in the making. Less than 90 seconds left on the clock now. Ahmed loses that ball. Roas gets a piece of it. Gets a nice demo on the way through as well. It's 2v1. It's Khalid. Oh, and oh, wow! It's complete confuzzlation for the Falcons defense. They thought they saved it, but no!
They thought they had it. There was a demo and everything was nice, handy, and dandy. But no, Khalid gets just slightly shoved to the side, repositioned about 5 inches, but that's exactly what was needed of Rule 1 offense. And once again, with the lead, we're going to be looking how well they can perform with the leading position. All the while, Falcons, how well do they work from the back? This could be another one. And they didn't spend much time bringing out a 2-goal advantage. Relic, it is Rule 1, 3-1.
Good news for Mosen, that is a 100% improvement on last series. Goal number 1, straight off the rip. Falcons going to be so disappointed to concede a kickoff goal, especially after the strong defense that they put up, only taking a massive bump here from Rule 1 to break the deadlock once again. 60 seconds left on the clock now. Rule 1 with a healthy lead, with daylight between the two teams. And how about this for an infield pass? Roas latches onto it, a save away, leaves the Falcons in a position to counter-attack. Ahmed tries to get over the top of Killiers, not going to happen on this occasion. Backboard, O'Carlin heads to the backboard once again, but it keeps on going outwards, doesn't seem to be going inwards. Ahmed this time with the lovely handoff to TRK. How about that for a shot? Brilliant work, but still no goal.
Killer's just sitting on the top of the net and looking for when the shot is going to come, showing incredible amounts of patience. 1v1, Khalid wins that versus Rawaz. Well, he's immediately given it back to Killers. Oh, he can read these angles. Can he put it on target? I don't think that was even a question, can he? Not even a question of will he. It's a stated fact. Killers gets the ball, gets the backboard. Done.
Some would say a bit of a dud series. Nothing to play for, people say. Falcons, they're already through to the major. Rule 1, they already know that they can't compete for the major. But here's the thing. Falcons have everything to lose. They lost that crown in the first ever split. As we have a pause with 22 seconds to go. Is this a forfeit? Is this a bizarre situation? There's a what on earth is going on? What a strange call to make.
Well, right now we're getting a word that is a tech issue on the side of one of the teams, and we're going to be resolving that pretty quickly indeed. But yeah, besides, since the major spot has already been decided, again, as a reminder for everybody, for that, Falcons had to lose, or let's put a positive spin on it. Cola had to win versus Falcons in the semifinal that you've seen earlier on your screens, and then Rule 1 had to win in the grand finals, and then I do believe they had to go to a tiebreaker versus Falcons again. Since Falcons went to the semifinals ahead of Cola, then the spot is going to Falcons and they're going to be going to San Diego. But this is still a play for world spots, and neither of these teams would like to be the #1 seed for Middle East and North Africa when the time comes.
Well, it's just important for momentum as well, thinking short term. If Falcons are entering that major and they've lost their last series within the region, it doesn't exactly bode well, does it? But that's exactly what's going to happen at the very least here in game number 1, a freebie for Killiers, as that's going to be number 5. It's a famous 5 for Rule 1. But here's the thing, Jam. Historically, there's only one series where they have been swept by the Falcons. They always do tend to pick up one game, and if there is any game which is going to be anonymous in a series of RLCS, it is going to be game 1. Falcons with plenty of time to rescue this.
We joked about how, while Rule 1 has scored 1, 2, 3, and 4 goals in the respective games versus Vision, they might have gone out 4, 2, 3, and 1 over here versus Falcons. That's not to be. For the first time since the fall open in the grand finals, Rule 1 take the first game versus Falcons. They had some game wins in the series, but ever since the fall open, no series wins. And this already bodes well. And it's not like Falcons have necessarily been completely not present on the field, but it was, for the first time, for as long as I can remember, again, I suppose fall open, is that Rule 1 actually looked good in the grand finals.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, you just look at that basic goal total as well. Those last 2 series that these two have played, one of those was the 3-0 sweep, Falcons over Rule 1. Guess what? They've already eclipsed their goal total from that series where they only scored 3. They are only 1 goal off their last goal total against Falcons, which was 6. So, okay, a couple of these goals are garbage time. There was a weird technical pause there in the middle as well, breaks up the momentum, or any momentum that Falcons thought that they were having. For me, the more true scoreline is that 3-1, maybe 4-1 if we are going to include the garbage time goal, because they do, of course, occur across all series. And now we see what adjustments come out from the Falcons, because Ahmad really, for me, the one player that looked strong in offense. We did see some decent looks from O'Carlid, but I think that Rule 1 just did really well to close both him and TRK away from those dangerous into-the-box passes where we saw them starting from the midfield line jam. They never could quite complete their journey, not without a little bit of a hindrance.
Yeah, well, they do know how to create hindrance, though, Team Falcons, so I have no doubts that the change of game plan is going to happen. At the very least, it's a clean slate, a reset at 5 minutes on the clock, and 0-0 on the scoreboard. But this series, again, while not having much in terms of major spots, has a lot in terms of prestige for most part. Real One wants, so they are incredibly eager to get one over Falcons because it has been a long time coming. Killers of the region, killers of the Kings coming into the region, and then after the first win, nothing has happened. So right now they're playing for finally regaining their crown. And for the first time, then we're going to see how Falcons are coming from a situation where they're behind. It's a scientific interest for me, I suppose, really. Just seeing Falcons not having an easy stroll, but having an actual, putting it to 100% and seeing how well they perform under pressure. I have no doubts that they can perform under pressure. They are Falcons, after all.
You've delved into the scientific angle. I'm going to delve into the personal angle. We've talked about Mosen a couple of times, and we've talked already about how much improvement we've seen in the final third for him in this series already. A lot of people looking at that Nada transfer and thinking, okay, we understand that you kind of fell off once you became Rule 1, but was that really necessary? They have to show everyone that it was necessary. Mosen has to prove to everyone that he is deserving of a place on this roster and that they didn't make the wrong move, and to win the series here, to win only their second grand final together as a team. Of course, Mosen, this would be his first grand final win if they were to convert it. You know, there's a lot on the line, this team, to show that just because they're new to the scene, that they're capable of making the big calls when it matters. Of course, think back to BDS when they brought in extra for Clay X way back in the day. There were significant moves off, and that almost the most significant move of the game so far. Still 0-0.
It was a very strange first minute. Or I say strange, it was a game that was played mostly positionally and incredibly slow. Ahmed waltzes in with his teammate Turk, and they create just a little bit of magic. One touch, Mazen is immediately dispossessed. Killers blocks the net, but not the pass. Cannot be in two places at once. And then Ahmed calls it out. Buddy, I'm here. Just give it to me. So they did.
And that's so shame peering through. That's such a shame peering through the window of a 1-0 for themselves. Right down the other end, Falcons counter punch. They've already changed up their tactics, certainly soaking up a bit of pressure and finding that lethal, clinical edge that we know them for well. Back or pass, miss from Clears. Maybe it was a fake. No motion goes sideways. This is a recycling of the play, but they've lost out. Rule 1 forces to retreat. Clears goes to the far corner, picks up the 100 boost on the way. Called off by Roas. That's ended up with Mosen. The pop off his car, not exactly ideal. Ahmed looking to face him and does so, but that ball's kind of for Clears. Straight shot on target. Okada with a save. Here's Mosen now around the corner again. Okada cleans up.
It was, again, a attack that took a long time coming from the opposite side. This is pretty much how the game has been going so far. Both teams perhaps not opting for a quick counterattacks for a build-up of a play. Very calm, everything is very calculated and thought out from, but still, it does not stop the moments like we see in the goal from Falcons. Just flow build-up, and then all of a sudden, 1, 2, 3, you.
Mosen through the corner again. Mosen all on his own. Oh, what's the bottom of the post? So unfortunate. Killis back into the center. What a lovely drop of Roas. A little too slow to that, and Falcons, to be fair to them, positionally well placed. That's a great shot. Killis, lovely reactions. TRK, top of the box, looking to dunk this. Great block from Mosen. Killis, the pinch gets past O'Carlin, past the front line entirely. Ahmed, that's not a great first touch. TRK throws it away into the midfield. Mosen super quick. He sees Roas in field, maybe going for the shot himself. Backboard. Here is Roas looking low. Beautiful shot, 1-1.
A bit surprising. You see Mazen collects the ball, puts it on the backboard, has no boost to continue. Turk has slipped on the banana peel that is the post. You felt like there was so much time to counteract this setup from Rule 1. No, just a little bit of a slip up on the side of Turk, and Falcons concede. Game is tied. Turk now very eager to immediately make the situation back in the favor of Falcons, but his dribble is stopped by just a gang of Rule 1 players all surrounding him.
TRK did have a look at net there. I think he was just giving Rule 1 a bit too much respect. To be fair, great save here from Roas. Plenty of respect on that shot from Ahmed with a little bit more welly in it. Khalid hits the backboard. Ahmed up, clears. Lovely drop down into no man's land. TRK latches onto it. Roas has to get up close to Ahmed and make that stop. Khalid continues to bring this ball into a dangerous position, but TRK misses that pass potential. Roas with the pinch away buys his team time.
You can see that everybody just falls back. Rule 1 knows that they sent the ball so far down that they cannot possibly chase it. Putting a player to just run interference in that situation is not needed. And Falcons just also roll back and start everything from their own side. Of Khalid, so much time, so much space. But perhaps all of that time this time was enough for Rule 1 to set up the defensive lines.
How wonderfully worked from Mosen that was. Bumped and then manages to readjust himself in time to clear the lines beautifully for Rule 1. Once again, it's all about releasing that pressure valve for Rule 1. There's going to be a lot of sustained pressure from Falcons. You can tell that. And in a flash, this game has run by us. Only 1 minute left on the clock, still 1-1. Mosen up, TRK gets there ahead of him. That's a little bit of a heavy pass off the backboard. But how about this for the breakaway? It's going to go wide. And TRK arms it up, a bit of volleyball action here as he heads the midfield line.
He even has a flip reset to just put the ball even further up the field. Reach the penalty area of Rule 1. That's where the run has ended. Again, slow play. There's a lot of give and go, as in the ball gets given away to the opposition, and then everybody just slows down and sees, all right, we have tons of space. Nobody rushes into the first 50-50. It's much more of a, there's a lot of respect being given to, okay, you got the ball, I think we're going to hang back.
One quite happy to go and turn their backs to the advancing Falcons. I think they would be more than happy to take it to overtime. We are going to have a bit of dancing here from Ruas. Looks for the bump, but the pass wasn't exactly high quality in the first place. We hit the floor, and on Forbidden Temple, it's our first overtime of the series. One apiece.
Better from Falcons or worse from Rule 1? Right now, straight off the kickoff, Mazen was trying to stop this overtime where it has started. And we might be here for a long time. I do believe this weekend there has been a 10-minute overtime, if my memory serves me right, or was that last weekend? In any case, some of these can be incredibly long, and knowing that the game has, again, not devolved, but just switched into a much more slower and calculated playstyle from both of the sides. A lot of space is being given, so no counterattacks, nobody all of a sudden find themselves with an empty net. And so in this sort of positional battle, knowing that the resources are technically unlimited, we can be here for a long time. I mean, even as I was saying that, I knew that I was cursing us for this one. Rule 1 fans, though, are going to be incredibly happy.
Rule 1 jumping ahead of the queue. You can see TRK there in his mind. Again, Falcons showing a lot of respect to Rule 1, thinking, okay, Kalis is going to get that double tap. No, lovely communication. The fake into the Roas low shot once again. And that is a 2-0 lead in the series, a 2-1 scoreline to finish off game number 2. And I agree with you. I think it was somewhere in the middle, to answer your question. I think Rule 1 a lot more passive once they'd scored the goal to get themselves back on level terms with Falcons. But Falcons, a much improved performance, especially in front of the net. But we're starting to see that clutch factor that KRN brought to the table in defense. And you can see that from the save totals in general. 9 shots across the board for all 3 of those players, and Falcons simply undone by some lovely communicative efforts from Rule 1 themselves, some lovely low shots in particular from Roas.
I think that's something that has been missing from Rule 1 throughout the whole season, actually. That's ability to close down series, ability to be consistent. It's something that just was their Achilles heel every single time. So now, seeing it as being actually visible and seen, they're going to be kicking themselves in the foot, just kicking themselves all around, I suppose, for not being able to bring this up to the forefront earlier. Right now, they have nobody to blame but themselves, let's say that. Nobody to blame but themselves for losing in the grand finals repeatedly. I mean, they can blame Falcons because they were the team that they played versus the most. But the point is, there's nothing they could have done better besides win more grand finals, besides beating Falcons. And it stinks, and right now they're doing it, and at the very least, they will take the lessons of how to beat Falcons from this series, no doubts about that. And come the spring split, I think the things are really going to heat up. But this is only the series, game number 2 in the series, and unsurprisingly, Falcons have taken a timeout.
Jam, sometimes you have got to put stats to the side. I love my stats, but sometimes you've got to put them to the side and trust your eyes a bit. And if there was anything that my eyes told me about Rule 1, at least in terms of their previous form against Falcons, it's almost like they didn't believe that they were one of the best teams in the region. It's almost like they believed all of the Falcons fans and thought, well, guess we're the second best team in the region. Perhaps we shouldn't be beating Falcons in the first place. You can't have any success as a Rocket League team if you believe that you are weaker than your opponents.
Absolutely.
Ego is something which I think a lot of people look down upon because it's like, oh, a bit of complacency here and there. But that ego is what makes all of these Rocket League Championship Series players as good as they are, because they never stop striving to be the best.
Yes, it's that urge. It's that you know that you cannot ever stop. So going for that one, and perhaps for that you do need just a little bit of ego. Game number 3, Rule 1, in a good position, but Falcons have taken a tactical timeout, something that we've seen has been working pretty well for teams in South America. I do not believe the stat is that kind for Middle East and North Africa. In any case, no early goals conceded. Nobody is immediately taking ground, but I do believe the play has sped up just a little bit for the third game. These teams showing us something else again.
Yes, is there E-time now, Rule 1? A bit of chess at the moment, a bit of fast-paced chess as they're trying to tactically navigate their way through difficult defenses, both Rule 1 and the Falcons, with the answers to the questions thus far. TRK, top of the box, got the flip reset, looking for a bit of trickery, and he does commit 2 players, but sadly for him, the ball ends up going sideways and away from the goal mat as opposed to into the central area. Mosen and TRK there stops his run. Clears caught out somewhat. TRK forward again, 0 boost, it's the crossfield pass, but O'Khalid a little bit slow.
Demos on Rule 1 player, so Nama just collects it to himself. Anybody in support? O'Khalid, but after some time, and Rule 1 players all collecting boost on the other side of the field, other flanks. Demos are coming up pretty thick. I've mentioned that there's going to be some physicality in the play of Falcons, and right now, maybe they're not creating their chances, but they're basically putting out the statement. We are going to be rough with them.
A couple of missed touches from the Falcons, and just seems to be a bit disjointed. Just in general, their 1v1 mechanics, of course, famed, but here's a miss from Killiers as well. Might have been a fake, actually. Mosen looking to go through all 3 players. Again, though, angling for that low shot. Rule 1 seemingly identifying a chink in the armor that they will try and expose time and again. Mosen this time going skyward. From the side wall, runs out of boost. Falcons leave it to Clears. That's going to be spiked up once again. Roas got the flip reset over 1, though O'Khalid gets a piece of it, and here's TRK to run it through the corner. Lovely advancing from Mosen. Clears finds a way through the melee. O'Khalid, up he goes, and Falcons, every which way they look, they keep on running into a Rule 1 player.
That's the problem when you are stuck in a defense and your opposition just has a step ahead of you. Not necessarily they're faster, but in all of the rotations, they just set it up. You are forced to respond, and by the time you respond, they had enough time to rotate back in again. Assert where you're going to put your touch or clear, and they're going to be there again, and it just bears on repeating. Case in point, passes here is trying to chase the ball. Kinama is going to find a long clear. The ball just goes across the field, never stopping anywhere. Yeah, it's incredibly tough for Falcons to even get a touch on this ball. Or a nice play.
Nice task management from Rule 1 as well. Lovely call off, unable to break through the defense. How about that for a soft touch though? Mosen unable to read TRK's clearance. How about Roas? Oh, a little bit too late to the party. Otherwise, that's a great shot opportunity in of itself. The ball flies away. TRK first onto the scene through the corner. Looking for that receiver. It's a miss. O'Khalid. Oh, Roas has to float in the air and wait for the ball to reach the front bumper of his car. Clears on clean-up aisle, on the aisle duty at the moment. Mosen now from the backboard. They've really put themselves into a bit of a pickle here, Rule 1. Ahmad, the bump away, and Killiers finally gives Rule 1 the break.
Oh, that's just a break. A setup for Waz. Stopped on the goal line by Ahmad. More setups. Mosen chips it in. Oh, still the follow-up Killers. That's going to be a waterfall, so straight down. This is not safe. This is still in front. Killers. Wrong direction. He is pointed away from the net rather than towards it, and nobody to pass it to. No skip opportunity for Was either. There's a bump opportunity though on the goal line. Not sure if there was a touch on the player, but even the threat of it was enough. You can see Mazen off the corner of your right. Oh, he goes for it.
You.
That's all in there.
That is all on him. That is a huge error. On the stroke of 1 minute, Falcons offered a freebie. And that is such a shame given how high quality this game has been, perhaps because of the very nature of how high quality it's been. Someone was bound to make a mistake eventually. Roas, again, look at that low shot, a bit of miscommunication there as well. Mosen blocks it, clears. It's not going to stop the forward trajectory here of the Falcons charge. Backboard, Roas, good read, and looking for a bump there, Khalid. Khalid was the last defender, had it connected. We'd be talking about a real difficult scenario for Falcons to deal with. Mosen through the corner, Khalid. Again, this defense too strong for Rule 1 to break down. It has been a gritty performance. It has been a true steel performance, but it's not been a performance good enough to keep Rule 1 out the net.
Not yet. They're not done just yet. Even it has been getting harder and harder to put the ball past Falcons. A quick enough pass solves it. With 20 seconds remaining, Rule 1 wants to put themselves on match point. 4 match points to be precise, though off the kickoff, though. Khalid takes the control of the ball, and the rest of the Falcons are in tow. Ahmed flipped reset, cannot put it low enough. Turret behind him. Up bottom left corner, somewhere across the goal line, and we didn't have to wait long for Falcons to respond.
Mosen has to come out there. I think that's on him again. He's got to go out and be more proactive. If you wait for the Falcons, you're going to get punished by the Falcons. Have you not learned this about this team already? Mosen, one of the most experienced heads in the region, and yet it is on his shoulders that Rule 1 perhaps have lost game number 3. The momentum is stopped. The tactical timeout has worked, unless Rule 1 can carry it from goalpost to goalpost. It's not going to happen, Jam. Falcons are in the series.
Alrighty, Falcons with 1, and it's gonna just boost them up incredibly. It was still tough. There's no doubts about that. The scoring output from both teams has been lowered. Again, we sort of repeat the scoreline from the previous game when we went into the overtime at 1-1, with Rule 1 taking that one. But yeah, it's no longer a open season for Rule 1 as we've seen in game number 1. It is still not easy for Falcons to go back into this one, but now that they have thrown off their gloves, there's not going to be no pulled punches. I think now we're going to see the true colors inside of both of these teams, and I think we once again have the best seats for the action.
I really do think so as well. This really a performance where we had 5 players performing almost flawless games and 1 player with 2 big mistakes that ultimately sees 2 goals go into the back of the net. Such is the nature of Rocket League Championship Series, where that does happen. This is no longer ranked. You've got to be able to elevate your quality, and I think that is the lowest quality game we've seen from Mosen, who I've been full of praise for up until this point. He's got to pick himself up off the ground, and I couldn't agree with you more. This is where we're going to see both teams and just how much resolve, no, not the Williams one, they actually have within themselves. Falcon, we've seen it time and time again. Even when they have been up against the ropes, they have the individual quality, all 3 of those players, to pop off and make a difference. Rule 1, do they have that within them? Can all 3 players put themselves on the pitch and make a difference?
Again, closing down the series was that kryptonite that Rule 1 was suffering from, at the very least versus Falcons. Usually it was specifically them that were denying that here. Only once a long time ago, Twisted Minds denied Karen to moving anywhere further than that, but that was a long time ago. Zonix, AMS, and funnily enough, Mazen back then, Karen still had Nader on that roster, so... No kidding, did that just happen?
Well, it falls out kindly to Khalid, but how about this? Drive-by, and just thrust into the top pocket for Rule 1. How about that for an individual effort within a minute, almost 30 seconds? That's a great way to respond from a pretty damaging defeat in game number 3.
We're currently getting fed some stats, and yeah, we are seeing that, well, Mazen puts his goals in the game that matter. Still, so far, he is absent on the field. His team is still in the lead in the game and in the series. But as long as Killers and was putting in their numbers, everything is going to be fine.
We only win a game by 1 goal, really. It doesn't matter how bloated the scoreline becomes. It is that goal ultimately that will make the difference, no matter how many the Falcons might score at this particular integer. They need to score 2 to reverse this fixture. Mosen taken out for his troubles. The clearance decent. Ahmad off the top of the box gets that second touch, feeds it into TRK. Proactiveness here from Kaliers. That's it. So ultimately just to stall out the Falcons in their advance. Nice 50-50 here. Roas losing out to Ahmad. TRK, backboard, picks up that 100 boost as well, but demoed immediately, that advantage taken away. Kaliers doesn't get there first. Here's Mosen. Tries to lift it through the corner. Khalid had enough of that, and he's going to transition all the way down to this backboard. Infield pass, no one ready to receive.
Yeah, too high for anybody to really take it, so best they can. Ahmad collects it on the other flank and tries to put it back into the center. But they need a much better opportunity. And who just got the best opportunity? Mazen straight collects the ball as clear from Falcons was not enough. You could see that just too many players and killers. His 50s are incredibly deadly. You don't want to go versus him. The moment he makes that touch, the setup is almost ready-made. Will one extend the lead to 2.
It's just a lovely exposure of that total rotation system that Falcons love to utilize, where Mosen almost makes a meal of it. It should be said, he should be getting that shot on target without the use of the bar, able to clean it up, and that's a lovely play from Rule 1 to extend their advantage to 2. TRK now trying to redress the balance somewhat. A bit of fakery from both players there, but it still means that Falcons have this final third possession. It's Ahmad in field. And surely O'Carlin's got to be there sooner. They've stolen the 100 booster as well, but Mosen gets the clear.
It feels like they're just trying to slow the play down.
No
My
way!
God, Ahmad. Still like in the old days, he has it in turn on the follow-up. No, block there was. But it felt like Falcons on that particular attempt, Casterminds up 20 seconds ago by this point, had everything set up. They were in right positions. They had Rule 1 nervy and just jumping for everything, and yet still they couldn't convert it in the end. And right now they need a goal pronto. Yes, 2 minutes, but that's 2 goals and versus no other than Rule 1, who are currently feeling the fire in their bellies to continue this series and continue this winning streak.
Trio of magicians, you never know what they're going to pull out their sleeve. Well, that is a missed shot out the sleeve, when that was a great point to prove here for the Falcons that when you ask them to do the simple stuff like put it on target, they could do it as well. Apparently not. Rule 1 still with that 2-0 advantage. Ahmad, soft touch, allows the time to follow up on it, but here's Mosen. He sees Khalid in front of him, tries to drop down. Here's Roas, nice positioning. Dances his way around 2 players. Ahmad throws it to the side, out, and away it goes.
It's funny, or perhaps really a testament to the skill of the Rule 1 players, how sometimes they can do ballet, but not on the ground, in the air. So effortless looking, so efficient as well. They are truly one of the best players in the region. Oh, who knows, even the world. But unfortunately, this major, we're not going to be seeing them versus the rest of the regions. I just hope they're going to be participating in some of the European tournaments in the off-season, wherever these might appear. In any case, with less than a minute remaining in game number 4, Falcons are currently looking for at least something. Gonna start with 1 and then continuing building off of that. But they find themselves once again in their own side. And Turk, even if he can find a clear, who's there? It's Rule 1 wait.
Off-season tournaments, Jam, I don't know what you're talking about. But if you are interested, hey, sponsors, please feel free to get in touch with Rocket Brigade or the Rocket RB. I'm certain that a lot of people would like to see more of them. TRK, helped out by Ahmed. That's going to go around the corner. Oh, big read from Mosen there. Pre-read off the backboard. Has time to turn around and doesn't really get the clearance through and through here. But look at that, Ahmed pondering on the ball. And time is a-ticking. Rule 1, you have really just done the dirty over Falcons here. It's not exactly a smash and grab, but they've done exactly what they aim to do in the final third. They've done exactly what they aim to do in their own third, and they've kept Falcons to a clean sheet. An incredible performance. Rule 1 onto match points.
Oh my God, I'm definitely not in this series. This is the first time Falcons could not score a single goal, and well, this has happened before. Even cast our minds back as far as the Winter Cup, as the only win that Rule 1 got in that series. That series ended up 1-4. against Rule 1. They've scored 4 in one of those games with nothing to Falcons. And then, of course, the very next game, Falcons have taken the whole series. Right here, the situation is different. Rule 1 are different. Falcons seems to be different. Oh my god, that first goal by Killers, you could see Falcons on the goal line. No chances, no hopes, nothing whatsoever. He is running rings around them, and that's the true power of Killers, of Ruaz, and even Mazen now that he has joined the team.
I do love a prophetic call jam, and that was the difference maker, even if the score had remained at 1-0. Kalir's goal in the first 30 seconds settled it, and it's not often that you see Falcons restricted to only 5 shots on target. One of their players not even getting a single shot on the board, and you look at the points totals as well, all sub 200. This game was midfield bound. There were not many clear-cut opportunities for either side, and the difference was the clinicalness, which is something that Rule 1 has been lacking in recent months. So great to see them with that knife edge play. So great to see them taking risks. So great to see them having confidence within themselves. And as we head to Wasteland and into the dark of Night Jam, Rule 1 have the opportunity to shut up the naysayers and close out this series with a regional victory.
They wonder what Crespor and the rest of the team have done this regional in particular that would give Rule 1 that edge. That's indeed just... I'm going to hark back to the fact that every single time Rule 1 looks so great in the groups, looks amazing in a playoff, just sweeping their opposition left and right, come the Grand Final Series versus Falcons, it's as if the team has been completely switched around. Same player names on the field, and yet just nothing. And right now, they managed to keep that energy throughout and into the Grand Finals. And this is where it gets dangerous. And Falcons, they might have sailed up to this point, or of course they have tough opposition, but matter of fact is I don't think we necessarily have seen them at their fullest, and or perhaps this is the fullest, and right now they are asking themselves the question, my god, how do we get out of here scot-free?
Well, Falcons have flown out the traps, squawking and swinging, but they still have no go-ahead goal. Oh, that's beautiful patience, and Kalir is able to bait out not just one, but the second. Oh, Khalid not able to play the same mind games on Roas. Infield, oh my goodness me, saucy. Lovely stuff. Get the condiments out, folks, but look at TRK. Being able to run away. Ahmed looking for the demo. Kalir is going to avoid him, and how? Oh, no way! How did they not score?
It's Rule 1. It's Rule 1 right there, stopping any chances that Falcons are throwing at them, and it is getting not desperate just yet. I don't think we have seen hints of desperation, but as a reminder, match point for Rule 1. They take this game, they take the whole series, they take the whole regional, but it will be bittersweet. For Falcons, no, it's their turn to play for the pride, and that is the pride of remaining the regional champions, as they have been for 2 times this split, and before that 2 times in the fall as well. Can they be this 5 times?
Make no mistake, Falcons should be 1-0 up. They have been clear and ahead of Rule 1 in everything but that all-important double digit up at the top of your screens. We're heading towards halftime. Those 2 donuts still yet to be changed in any form or fashion, but it might just be changed now! Khalid throws himself into a dogfight and strikes 2 opponents at the sky!
Denied, absolutely denied, and maybe the speed is now going to be the difference maker. We've seen how quick Rule 1 can be versus opposition earlier on today, even take the Vision Esports series but right now what matters is to beat the Falcons, one of the speediest players and teams in the region, and they seem to be going on there quite on point across the goal line. Turk can only send it to the other flank. Ahmad cannot make the connection. All of a sudden, Falcons are out of the players. Killers just baits here. Arcade feels like makes him swing one way, and then all of a sudden the net is empty for him to have a go at.
The whole face of the series, it's been sort of so-so advantage Rule 1, with Falcons looking more than likely to score, but that goal is such a punch to the gut. Of course, the 4th player of Rule 1, the post, denying themselves. The Falcons with 1 minute 50 to try and find something to at least put Rule 1 on the back foot. But Rule 1, they come into this series as the underdogs after so many weeks of being hyped up as on an equal footing to Falcons. It seems like they do prefer playing from behind, at least when it comes to the general favorable opinion of the audience. 90 seconds, Jam, and they're home and dry.
Oh, the problem is...
Oh!
The problem is this, Falcons trying to get control of the ball, all the while Rule 1 are refueling and coming back into the blue side of the field with new forces, and it is dangerous. Not on target. Mazen needed to make a touch. I don't think he made a connection with the ball, otherwise this would have been on the hands of Vitality. Let's take a look at the replay as he had an incredibly fast recovery, and that is no time to mess.
He has to try and get the read. I don't envy him in that position. Kalir's, there's a bit of a short shifted pass to Roas, who himself was tangled up in a mess, and now we are finding ourselves in a bit of uncharted territory. Wave dashing Roas, and how about that? Manages to get the shot away. Here's Mosen. Oh, that's into a bit of no man's land, and once again it's going to be Falcons bringing them back to the midfield line. Oh, a miss here. Well cleaned up by O'Khalid. Mosen steps in. Is he going to be able to get the challenge in? Kind of, maybe, sorta. Kalir strides forward, goes underneath Ahmad. That ball continues its journey into blue territory, but swiftly returned to sender. O'Khalid goes for the shot. Mosen gets a double touch, and away it goes. Mosen another touch. That goes sideways this time. Ahmed, the pressure keeps on cranking. Double commit from Rule 1. The bridge is starting to break. Completely misjudged, and TRK puts them to the sword.
Oh, let's see that again. That was a triple commit, double from Rule 1, and then something else.
Was it a Goomba stop?
It could have been. I'm gonna be looking at every single replay opportunity that I can find. On every single channel that I can find right now, even the Rocket RB. Thank you, folks, for being here with us. Just couldn't catch it in time. Most importantly, Falcons immediately concede, and it is back to a tie situation.
Just when you thought that Rule 1, it was all going to unravel, Mosen with the bombshell.
The fireworks.
Literally taking them out the air, unmissable. For Kalir's Rule 1, not dead yet. Their hopes still alive of putting Falcons in the casket.
Well. 10 seconds. Falcons in the air inside of the field. This is pass 2, but nobody's ready to take on the ball from Falcons. They're going to be keeping the control. TRK just flies too low for him to really make an impact. Overtime. A golden goal opportunity for Rule 1 to close it right here and right now. They've won the single overtime in the series. Can they repeat it, or can Falcons keep themselves alive in the series?
One rule in overtime, score and you win. Oh, that's a flub though. The Falcons get away with it. Mosen has no boost to work with. Wins the challenge, pops up, and O'Khalid does his due duty. Roas holds it at the midfield line. Here's Kaliz, who has absolutely stepped up in the big way, and he takes no prisoners. He doesn't take no for an answer. Rule 1, it's not exactly a sweep on the Falcons, but close enough, Jam.
Killers. Just pushes through, ignores Ahmed in the air, doesn't even care. Ahmed is nowhere close to that ball, and then puts just enough mustard on the ball to continue it going. An absolute snowplow of a play. Has Rule 1, they've just proven that they can do it. Bookends of the well, I mean, I suppose technically not a bookend of this split, as Falcons have taken the first regional, but definitely, finally, a long time coming. Falcons are defeated in the grand finals. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new king. The name of that king is Rule 1.
It's their first regional victory as an org. Sunless Khan popping off. I expect to see the video on your channel next week, good sir. And let's break this down, Jam. Falcons, obviously, with that bit of hope with a one-game win, but Rule 1 for me, that win in game number 3, absolutely pivotal, because if it wasn't for that win in game number 3, I don't think they would have been able to return from this particular scenario. 2-1 down, but straight off the rip, I mean, to be able to get that return goal and then in overtime as well, it all just lined up so perfectly for them.
Everything was right from Rule 1. That one loss, honestly, I feel like they're going to take it and in stride, absolutely. But now, It's nice to come to usual things. As we said, this has been already the 5th time that these two teams have met in the grand finals of Middle East and North Africa in this season. Of course, in the fall split, they were under the name of KRN, but that has changed. Still, the same thing. Arose by any name, so norm forth, and yada, yada, yada. But we got used to already to the fact that it is Falcons taking those wins. Not this time. I think it bodes really well for just the storytelling of the season, that it's not going to be the same old, and come the upcoming split, it's going to get even more interesting come to the season.
Well, a rose by any other name, you say? Well, certainly the rose, for me, one of the more beautiful flowers, and I think that's the greatest segue, really, to bring in someone who is none of those things. Danny Boy ATM, let's bring... No, I'm joking, of course. It's lovely to have you back with us. Honestly, I think all of your greatest hopes and dreams, they're lived. Maybe not the most exciting series in terms of not going to Game 7, but hey, the Falcons taken down at last.
What a series, but before I even touch on that there, I kindly welcome your introduction there. I'm the greatest thorn in the scene, James. But what a series there. I want to even touch a little bit earlier back onto that one, Relic, because quite literally, the second game was such a pivotal moment, because I was sitting behind the green room and I have two coaches sitting in the back row, and they were crying at moments at times, and you're sort of going, what's going on here? The fact that we saw Moss and Ross nearly missing, suddenly putting it in, Relic, we could have actually seen such a different series in the second game alone, never mind the third.
Yeah, and look, I think, again, for me, it was me. I was the media. I was shining the spotlight on Mosen. I was asking him a direct question. Are you good enough to be top 6 players in your region? And I think that we saw both the best and the worst of Mosen. He used so much of his experience to recover from bad situations which he created himself. I think we also saw a different side of him. He was a lot more active in the final third, which obviously helps Roas and clears a lot more, as there's a lot more passing lane opportunities. Obviously, Mosen himself with that bombshell demo to be able to bring the game back to 2-2 in the first place for that final game to take it to overtime. They go on and win. All mistakes are given in a series of Rocket League if you end up winning the series at the end of the day. And I think that's the perfect sort of narrative that encapsulates Mosen here today.
I would agree with that, but towards you, Jam, here, Falcons going into the series knowing they've got to the major. How do you, when you're going into that series, did you thought there, and you know what, this is going to be a series that they're just going to steamroll, or were we going to have that thriller at the start? Because I remember saying to Relic before this going into it, this has sweep written all over it, and it looks like I've got egg firmly planted on my face here.
Well, no sweep, but this could have turned either way. I was half expecting for the Falcons to, again, do the thing that the Falcons do in the grand finals, and that is defeat Rule 1. After that first win, the things have turned around, and I'd say for the best, for the most interesting one. But with Falcons not having much to play for, knowing their professionalism, knowing their, I'm going to use that lovely word, bounce back ability. I would imagine them that even without a target at the end, they just wouldn't be playing for pride. There will be true professionals, and playing as the professionals should play every single time for the victory, nothing else than that. But nobody expected the Spanish Inquisition, and Spanish Inquisition today was Rule 1 showing up big time. The best form we have seen from them in the grand finals. I'm not even sure they've played this well in the full open back when the season has started.
That's such a brave and bold decision on that one. We'll touch on to maybe the full topic in a second. We might as well confirm everybody with the bracket and Relic. The playoff itself was a conundrum going into it. Rule 1 had to do their job, and what a way they performed with a sweep, near enough kicking things off with.
Yeah, and like I said, it was a build-up of momentum within that series as well. Okay, the first 2 games were going to overtime, but 1 goal scored, 2 goals scored, 3 goals, 3 goals, and then 4, I should say. You could see that Rule 1 offense was starting to click. It was almost like a Saiyan powering up, I should say. I apologize for the reference, everyone. It was just too easy
You
to
don't
make.
have to.
And you know what? I think that perhaps is what gave them a little bit of understated confidence, because how many times have we seen Rule 1 smashing the group stage, smashing the playoffs, and then tripping over the final hurdle? Falcons, they've actually been the ones that have been on the back foot. They've been a little bit so-so, but against Cola, okay, they didn't look as convincing as we've seen them in the past, but they were still able to put them away in decent fashion. And I just think, as Jam said at the top of the series, the pressure was off for Rule 1. They had nothing to play for except to show everyone that they still deserve to be considered in that same bracket as the Falcons. For Falcons, okay, they're going to the major, but they now go into the major knowing that they have lost their most recent series against their next door neighbors. It's not a great look for them, and I hope for their sakes that they're able to brush this one off quickly.
Exactly. Just like that there. 4-0 of the series as well, and 4-1 wrapping the grand final. We might take a look to it, the World Championship standings here, Jam, because that's really what Rule 1 had to play for, because the gap was getting slightly further afield there, and you talked about fall at one point, and we spoke about this on the pre-show with Crafters and Psycho. It was a small gap. All right, yes, it's going to get slightly bigger with the major here, but 89 points to 106, that's doable in the spring split, surely.
Absolutely, and since it is once again the standings and situation is going to change just a little bit, we've started, of course, the winter split with 16 points to the winner of the